We go back to the audio soundbites. Paul Ryan, we're up to number 10. This was at his weekly press conference today. A reporter said, based on what you've learned from this memo, do you believe the FBI, the DOJ, used their power in a partisan way?
There are legitimate questions about whether an American's civil liberties were violated by the FISA process. We are the legislative branch of government. There may have been malfeasance at the FBI by certain individuals. So it is our job in conducting transparent oversight of the executive branch to get to the bottom of that.
Now, you may ask, and some people do this, why Congress get oversight of the FBI? FBI, the executive branch. Why does Congress get the... Because Congress created them. The Founding Fathers didn't create the FBI. The Founding Fathers never heard of J. Edgar Hoover. Congress created the courts. Congress created the various federal districts in which reside the federal courts. Congress has oversight of all that it created. Congress makes the laws. So Congress creates the FBI. Well, I mean, look, it may not have been a congressman who conceived of the idea. Don't misunderstand. But the actual act, the legal requirements for establishing the FBI had to happen in Congress. I don't mean that some member of Congress, you know what, we need a federal investor. It might have been some, it's like William Casey. William Casey actually created the CIA. Not William Casey. Wild Bill Donovan created the CIA. And Bill Casey was one of his aides. He was Reagan's director of the CIA. It was originally the OSS. And it got organized in World War II. And there were no limits. I mean, there were no rules. These guys couldn't break rules back then because there weren't any. It was the formative days of what was to become the CIA. George Washington did not establish the CIA. And the CIA director has to go to Congress for budgets. Not just the director, the deputy director, a bunch of them troop up there every year. And there's a bunch of different CIA budgets. There's the standard public budget everybody knows about. Then there is the black ops budget, which nobody knows anything about. And then there are all the companies the CIA owns, like Screw You Airlines and whatever. CIA owns things you wouldn't believe they own. But Congress has oversight, but they've certainly got budget authorization. Here's Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy is on Fox and Friends this morning. He's been all over TV recently talking about the memo, and he's got an interesting way of telling us what's in it without divulging, without violating any rules requiring that nobody talk about it. Steve Doocy said, some Democrats are saying that what Republicans are doing with this memo is trying to diminish Mueller and his investigation.
My Democrat colleagues didn't want us to find this information. They did everything they could to keep us from finding this information. It'll be embarrassing to Adam Schiff once people realize the extent to which he went to keep them from learning any of this. So that would be the embarrassment. Going to court to help Fusion GPS so we can't find out that they paid for the dossier and that they were working for the DNC, that's a pretty big step to go to court to try to keep the American people from learning something. So, look, if it were up to Adam Schiff, you wouldn't know about Hillary Clinton's email. You wouldn't know about the server. You wouldn't know who paid for the dossier. If it were up to him, we wouldn't know any of it.
Right. If you're up to Democrats, you wouldn't know any of what you know. And now that we're on the verge of knowing it, the Democrats are running around saying this is threatening the Democrat process. Transparency and the people's right to know is now threatening our precious Democrat bodily fluids. We'll take a brief break and be back.